Hey everybody, this is Matt Schultz, aka Broker Matt with Keller Williams Avenues Realty, coming to you this week with Broker Matt's quick tip number 2. Today we're going to be talking about some lease options. If you haven't heard of these, they become kind of a popular term word now. Everyone seems to know what they are, but not really know what they are. So I'm going to kind of go through the details here, explain to you what someone means when they talk about a lease option. So here it is. A lease option is pretty much when you agree to rent a property out from somebody for a certain amount of time and then agree to purchase that property for a set price at a later date. It's effectively a rent-to-own kind of situation. What you're looking at when you look at something like this is you find a property you like. You can't afford it at that moment for whatever reason. Your credit score, you don't have the biggest down payment, whatever it is, you can't afford it. So you agree to do a lease option with the seller of the property. The seller agrees to rent the property to you for a certain number of time, a couple months, couple years, whatever it is. I've seen them as low as 6 months to as high as 10 years. You pay them a premium up front, several $1,000s typically. What you do is you purchase the option to buy the house at a later date, which means they can't sell it to anybody else within that time frame. You purchase the right to buy the house within that time frame. Then you rent it from them for whatever you guys agree on is a fair rental price from the property. For whatever term it is, 6 months, 10 years, whatever it is, you agree to rent the property from them. And at any point in that time frame, whatever time frame you've agreed upon that you have the option for, you can go and purchase that property for whatever price you guys agreed upon beforehand. So let's say you find a nice little 2-bedroom house that you love, but you can't afford because your credit score is not high enough to get a loan. So it's $100,000. You guys agree that in 5 years, you will, anytime within 5 years, let me put it that way, anytime within the next 5 years, you have the right to purchase that property for $100,000. As long as you get the loan. So for the next 2 years, you work your butt off, you get a good employment history, you fix your credit score up, you get a down payment saved. Anytime within 5 years, you are allowed to then purchase that house from that seller for $100,000. No questions asked. You go through the same typical process as a normal home sale, and end it there. You pay them $100,000, and typically at the beginning of the contract, you will end up paying them for easy numbers sake, let's say you pay them $5,000, and that's the premium you pay to buy the option to purchase that house in the next 5 years. Because when you buy the option, they're not allowed to sell that house to anybody else within those 5 years, unless you basically give up your option to purchase the property. So at a $100,000 house, you pay a $5,000 premium to buy the option. Typically that premium is non-refundable. You don't get it back if you can't or don't buy the house later on. If you don't or can't buy that house within the next 5 years, it's your loss. You're out $5,000, and you got to rent that place you wanted for 5 years. And then after 5 years, you can renew your option, or you and the seller can go your separate ways, and you find another one to buy. These can work out really well for both buyer and seller. Typically, however, what ends up happening is the buyer ends up not being able to buy the house for whatever reason. They didn't clean up their credit score, they didn't save enough for down payment, interest rates got too high for them to be able to afford their monthly payment of that house. Whatever it is, now they can't get it. So the sellers are typically the ones that end up winning. However, if the buyer is good and they get all their money saved up and the interest rates don't change too drastically and they fix their credit score, at the end of the term, whatever the lease term was, they get to buy a house, and they've got them to live in it for a while, and it works out really good for them. So there are some pros and cons. If you're going to do a lease option, my only warning to you is this: use an attorney as well as a broker. Do not ever trust a real estate broker to draft a lease option for you. It is dangerous. There are numerous risks involved, and real estate brokers are not trained to handle all of them. So please, if you're looking at a lease option, use a broker to find the house and to negotiate part of the deal, but get an attorney involved to review the contracts, okay? Because otherwise, I've heard too many stories of brokers who have done lease options. They didn't cross all their I's and dot all their T's, and their client, whoever it is, buyer or seller, ends up getting really messed up in the end. They can be great if you structure them properly. Both buyer and seller can win. Buyers get a great home, sellers get a nice little investment property for a couple of years, get some great renters. They're taking care of the place because they want to buy it later on so they don't trash it. But if it's not structured properly, and if an attorney doesn't review it, stuff can go really bad really fast. So Hopefully that explains a little bit of what a lease option is. There are several other details involved that are too complicated to get in. As far as a quick tip, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me, 720-244-6497. Email me at matt@brokermatt.com. And ask me whatever questions you feel like asking. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com. Head on over there, type in the search box, type in Broker Matt with Keller Williams Avenues Realty. Broker Matt will also should also find me right there. Find me at brokermatt.com. Again, email me, call me with any questions. If you're looking at doing a lease option and you need an attorney that you want to work with, give me a call. I know a couple of very good real estate attorneys who will be more than happy to help you with that. All right, guys, that's it for this week's quick tip. This is quick tip number 2. It's lease options. As always, have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comment section below, or call me or email me. Sorry, this one ran a little long, guys, but lease options are a little bit more complicated than 2.5 minutes will support. All right, have a good one, and I'll see you all next week.